That was great. Heavenly Father, we come to you again, and we ask that you continue to lead us and guide us and direct us in this meeting. We ask that you bless all that's here, those that have come, those that are not present. We ask that you give them the wisdom and the knowledge that they may be able to discern your spirit and be able to understand that we're here for the betterment of the city, regardless of what is said or what might not be done. We ask that your will be done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Attention. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Betty Johnson? Here. Mr. Riggs? Ms. K. Cup? Present. Mr. John Dumas?
Here.
Mr. Craig Gill?
Yeah.
Mayor Jackie Johnson?
Here. Public comments. We have any members of the audience who would like to make comments to the council. Seeing none. Item number 2. Introduction of ordinance number 962, dedication of city property for street right-of-way.
Mayor, this is a property that's connecting Marymore Street and Fair Avenue. And the city council passed a resolution allowing for the survey and the street so it can be presented to the city about dedicating that piece of property as a street. And whatever we can do with it at a future date and time, and we'll have that property dedicated. If we can overlay it, do utilities and things of that nature. Is that right, Mr. Skipper?
962 has to do with the transfer of real property.
Oh, is that the real property? I'm sorry. I don't have them in front of me. You got that?
That's all right. We just got it too.
Oh, okay. Well, I can take that. 962.
Not for street right away, it's a surplus property. Well, it's actually
Yeah.
a surplus.
Well, that's what I street right. Okay. Transfer of property. That is a property behind Waller Singer Chevrolet that at the old Walmart shopping center that was declared surplus. And at that point in time, once we declared the surplus, we got a appraised value on it and submitted it out for bids. We got the bids in, and it now is presented to the city council to see if you'd like to accept the bid, high bid that was presented.
Do we have a time limit on this? Is there a
No.
limited time? I'd like to. I guess I'd like to look at the piece of property before I vote on it. I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't know exactly where it is.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know where it is behind Waller Singer near Walmart.
Right,
I know that.
it's an intersection. And to give you a little bit of update, the city of Winsboro transferred a piece of property behind Johnny's Pizza. We had an old shop building there years ago, and then once we started to expand, and the Hatfields wanted that piece of property for their purpose of doing some more expansion on theirs over there where the bank is right now. They asked the city, would the city be interested in transferring that piece of property for comparable piece of property and at the location up by Walmart. It was originally on the west side of the street that goes into Walmart. And years later, and I think I sent y'all a copy of that, all of that information several months ago. I know it did, but where it was sent,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, it was moved and transferred the Eleanor Hatfield and their property, Eleanor Williams, transferred that property to the east side of the street going into the south end of Walmart, which made it contiguous. And the reason I say that, it made it contiguous to Waller Singer. And it's not that whole piece of property. It's about half of the property. About 1 acre, just a little less than 1 acre, isn't it, Skip?
Sir?
A little less than 1 acre, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And if any of you don't have a copy of that stuff, I have it on file. And I apologize if you didn't get it. But I thought I had sent everyone a copy of that as a document. I'm not saying
A while
that.
back.
I'm
A while
not saying,
back.
oh, it's been a while back.
And this is.
Yeah, this has been 6 months ago.
I still don't know what, yeah. There's 2 bids came in on that property. Okay. We had a bid opening in there.
Nine, wait a minute.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Wait, this is not an introduction. This is a resolution. I'm confused too. I'm sorry.
Item number 2 on our agenda said introduction of ordinance 962.
Right.
And
Ordinance-
this is drawn up as an ordinance form.
Right, it is drawn up as an ordinance form. We passed a resolution authorizing the appraisal of the property, and at that point in time, we submitted for bids. That's what you have to do. That's a process you have to go through.
All right, but on
Once-
our agenda, Billy, it says dedicating city property for street right-of-way.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
Ordinance number
incorrect.
962.
That is incorrect, and that's the reason I got confused on what that was. That is not a
Okay.
dedicated piece of
So
property.
this is an introduction.
It is, that is correct. It is for the sale of that piece of property.
So it's just an introduction.
Introduction ordinance, that's correct.
So that would then, at the next meeting, we would have a public hearing and then an adoption or not.
Right, that's correct.
So that would give any council persons that have not had adequate time to peruse the information before us 30 days.
Sure,
to go and
that's
look
exactly
and see.
right.
Okay. I'd move to introduce that ordinance.
I second.
962.
I second.
Been properly moved and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Record reflect that unanimously approved. Let's move to item number 4. Resolution number 14-0502. Airport rental lease shop loading pad.
Okay, I guess I'm still on this right here. Brother George Farrington is our airport manager appointed by the mayor, started last Thursday. And we submitted bids previously for the utilization of the shop hangar building and the loading pad for the airport. We set minimum bids on that at $500 and $750. And the city council approved that. The only bid that we received was for $187, which it did not meet the minimum requirements, so it had to be rejected at that point in time. Now, Brother George has been talking since he came on board. He's been talking, and even previous to that, he's been talking about the possibility of separating those 2 pieces of property, the hangar and the loading pad. The aerial applicators that are more interested, Brother George, would you like to go ahead? Come on. I'd like to let him go ahead and do that. If you have any questions.
Okay. We have a shop that's been in use forever, and the loading pad, which is for the crop dusters to load their airplanes. And it's always been handled as one property. And then when we bid it out and everything, we didn't get what we wanted and so forth. So anyway, I've asked that we divide the shop and the loading pad, which will make it much easier to deal with leasing it we talked about this at the airport board meeting, and we were in agreement there. So just make it easier to lease it to whomever, and we discussed that. I don't know when we'll be back then. So that's probably most of you didn't understand what I was saying because you're not at the airport to do all that all the time, but it would make it much easier to divide it up. And that's what this resolution is. Billy, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I can answer any question.
There has been some
And
interest.
for the benefit, for George, I appreciate your input and your dedication that you've shown to the airport as a whole. I'd like to introduce to both to the council that may not know Brother George and to the citizens who are present tonight. Brother George Farrington is our new airport manager, and we're very pleased and very fortunate to have him on our staff now.
Well, I'm proud to be here too, and I hope I can work with everyone and hopefully do a good job for the city. And I appreciate the mayor's confidence in selecting me, and I'll do my best, sir.
Thank you.
And to say that, Brother George, and he may have said it just now, but there's been some interest in renting that property or leasing that property by the shop itself and the loading pad itself to some businesses or industry here, or businesses or that is in Franklin Parish.
I'd like to make a motion at this time.
Motion.
Due to the fact that the city has failed to receive an acceptable bid as was previously offered, we'd like to ask that they change this to an offer to be given by individuals who are interested in either the shop and hangar or the loading pad, both as separate entities. Therefore, in doing so, we show that the shop and the hangar can be rented as is or as improved, and it can be negotiated with the city as far as the conditions that is to be changed, with an acceptable price that is around $400, not to be less, with an option of 4 to 6 years. Now, what we're saying is that we want to rent the shop and the hangar for 4 years at $400, with an option of 4 to 6 years after that. Is that correct?
That's correct. I have a minimum offer of $400.
Okay. And in addition, the loading pad to have a minimum offer of $200 per month for a term of 4 years. It is to be renegotiated at the time of the 4-year lease is up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In addition to that, neither of these are to be subleased by the leaseor. The leasee, I'm sorry. Therefore, in this case, we're asking for offers on both items. One, not to be less than $400 on the shop and hangar. And two, not to be less than $200 a month on the loading pad, with no subleasing. This is a motion.
And I'll second it.
Been properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, you have that same right. Let the record reflect that it's unanimously approved. Resolution number 14503, transfer of movable property.
That is it. That's the doors at the right, old shop door. You want to do that as well for George? The old shop doors that were out that burn up. Yeah.
When we had the hangar fire a few years ago, the doors that were folding doors were burned badly, and I think maybe they were set up for scrap, possibly. Is that correct?
They actually went through surplus bids, nobody brought a bid in whatsoever.
Anyway, I was wondering, we're trying to clean up some things out there, and we need to move those, have somebody interested in it, and and I think maybe somebody suggested $150 for them, or is that correct? No, yeah. So, I'm new at this.
Yeah, you're doing good. And I would like to say that our city attorney has reviewed all of these resolutions and ordinances, and he has helped prepare. And his comments were, since we did not get a bid on that, then it could be sold for an offer. Is that not correct?
The way I understand. Any comments or? Is that acceptable with the council?
I know the items. There are some of those on the council that are not familiar with these items, and therefore it takes a little bit more time for them to make a decision. And I know Brother George was giving us the definition of what he's talking about, but these are the doors, and you're referring to those doors that are in front of the shop? Are you referring to those doors, Brother George, in front of the shop?
They're out by those chemical buildings.
Yeah.
They're laying out there.
Yeah, it was the ones that was burned up in the original fire that we had out at the hangar, big hangar.
That was next to the lounge?
Right, it was next to the lounge, and they took them down and put them back in there.
Yeah, they're just stored back there.
Right. Took them down, they take them.
This time sale.
Any scrap value?
It's all galvanized material, and I figure if you weigh it out, it's probably got left over $150.
You use the term transfer of movable power. What are you going to transfer it, or are you going to sell it, or what are we going to actually do with it?
The transfer is, when you sell it, it's actually a transfer of ownership of the property. That's Attorney Singer said this is the way that it needed to be set up to allow someone to make a proposal for a minimum of $150, so we can follow the law and being able to dispose of property that is no longer valued to the city of Winsboro. Is that correct, Skip?
I'm gonna make a motion to table this for the next meeting, because I've not seen these doors. I don't know what we're talking about, and this is new to me. So my motion is to table to the next meeting so I can get more information.
I'll second.
Item number 6, approval of minutes for March meeting.
He made a motion, he seconded it.
I don't think we need a motion.
I made a motion to table for the next meeting.
Okay. Motion and second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Record reflect that it's unanimously approved to table. Now, approval of the minutes of March meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the March meeting.
Been properly moved
And I second.
and second. All in favor, say aye. At this time, we're going to move Chief into the next position to give the fire chief report, monthly report. The chief has to leave early, and we're going to assist him.
Thank you, Mayor Council. We had a pretty slow month this month. We had 2 private dwellings, one in town, a total of 12 for the year. On the Oklahoma, we've had 1 for the year. On the vehicles, we had 2 in town. We've had 6 for the year. On grass fire, we've had 4 in town. 2 out of town, 35 for the year. On rescues, we've had 5 out of town. On nursing home calls and stuff, we had 1 for the year. It was in town. We had 3 businesses. 2 of them was in town. 1 was out of town, but it's only 3 for the year. We had 1 helicopter assist, for a total of 4 for the year. Car alarm, we had 4 car alarms, for a total of, and we had 1 in town, 4. We had 4 in town, 1 out of town, excuse me. A total of 11. We had 3 service calls in town for a total of 8. We had 2 mutual aids for the year. We had 2 fireworks standby. 1 miscellaneous call for a total of 18 for town. 4 for outside the town, for a total of 91 calls so far this year. And
I make a motion we approve this.
Hold on. Due to the fact that the fire chief's report is not listed on the agenda, and the agenda is incomplete, we ask that if it is to be accepted, then it must be added to the agenda, and then at that particular time, we come back and make a motion whether or not to accept the fire chief's report.
I move we amend the agenda to add the fire chief's report.
I second.
Been properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, now we need to do the same to vote to accept his report, because we were adding his report to the agenda, which was not on the agenda. So that's what that last motion was for. That's what that vote was for, to add him to the agenda. And then now we're at the point to where we can do accept the fire chief's report.
Okay, now I make a motion we accept the fire chief.
I'll second.
Been properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Again, thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Maya Meyer.
Thank you all, Mayor and Council. I'll be fairly short this evening. The 8th Street Bicycle Trail, of course, last council meeting, we had bid the project and came in over budget. Council voted to reject all bids and rebid the project. In doing so, we made some changes to the contract to try and reduce the overall contract price. They're relatively minor changes. I listed them in y'all's report, but I'll just run them down real quick. We're going to use painted striping instead of thermoplastic. We're going to reduce the width of the saw cut of the existing street and reduce the depth of the base course, and remove the expanded base course on the shoulder. Our current estimate with those changes is $189,000. Of course, we won't know anything until we get the bids back. As I told y'all at the last meeting, the FHWA Recreational Trails Program, which is the funding agency for this, has agreed to put in an additional $60,000 toward the project, which raises their total up to a little over $150,000. With the engineer's estimate, as it currently is, the city would be responsible for about $117,000 of the project cost. We are rebidding that project. We expect to open bids on June 3rd. So I'll have some more information for y'all come next month's meeting. The other item is the TEP project, and we expect to submit preliminary plans on that the end of this month or the first of next month. Do y'all have any questions about those two items?
What is your pleasure?
I move that we accept the report from Myers and Myers.
Been properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposes? Record reflect that unanimously approved. Caitlin France.
A PowerPoint presentation ready for this evening, but we've had some computer issues. But it pertains to the 30th anniversary of Louisiana Main Street, and some pretty impressive numbers and figures statewide. And what I'd like to do is to personalize it, customize it, and show you what has happened in Winsboro in the 29 years that Winsboro's been a Main Street, and I promise you I will have that ready for you shortly. In the meantime, I would like to make everyone aware, I don't know if you read in the Franklin Sun, that it's time for the local facade grants, or what they renamed redevelopment incentive grants, for any of our buildings in the historic downtown district. I have 2 copies of the grants here. They're not very much, but they can do an awful lot, particularly keeping in mind that they are matching grants. One is for the amount of $2,500. So if someone wanted to do $5,000 worth of work to their building, they'd get $2,500 back. And the other in the amount of $10,000, which could go a long way if you wanted to put $20,000 or more towards a building. I do have a couple of copies here. Again, it's 4 buildings in the historic downtown district, and they're given out through the state, and I'll have them here if anybody wants to take a look at the guidelines. And if you know of anyone who's interested in the historic district, please let me know, and I will have a further report for you later on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Katie. Humane Officer's monthly report.
Thank you. I got a correction on my report. I got the date wrong. It's supposed to be the 4th, 11th to the 5th, 10th. Number of animals, number of dogs adopted for the month, 8, 33 for the year. 1 cat for the month, 2 for the year. Claim, 5, 9 for the year. Foster, 8, 18 for the year.
Slow down, Russ. I'm trying to follow you.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you. Can we start from the top again?
Okay.
Thank you.
Number of dogs adopted for the month, 8, 33 for the year. Cat, 1, 2 for the year. Claim, 5, 9 for the year. Foster, 8, 18 for the year. Total new dogs, 22. 1 cat. Total handle for the month, 56. 1 cat. In the pen, 34. Total for the year, 96. 4 cat. Total number of animals in the pen, 34. 2 miscellaneous. Food donated.
How much food was donated, bro?
Oh,
How much food are we talking about in pounds or bags or whatever you're looking at?
you talking about as bags or?
Yeah, in bags. How many bags of food did these animals consume during the course of this month?
Let's see. Probably like 50-pound bag a day. That's basically what, maybe less that you're looking at.
50 pounds per day?
Yeah, what you're basically looking at when the pins are full.
Do we have any, are there any open pens now, or are they all full?
All full.
What do we do if somebody calls with a dog, a bad dog in their neighborhood?
Bunch bad up.
What do we do?
Yeah, we probably have to get one out if we have a bad dog.
What if you just have a dog?
Right now it's
It
full.
may not be a bad dog, but he's a dog.
Right.
And he's stray, and he's running loose, and going against what our ordinance says. What do we do?
Well, right now, can't do nothing.
Question that was raised last week, or last month, at the last meeting. If you have such an animal that is running stray in the city, and that animal does attack or bite somebody, then who is responsible? That question is still on the table and has not been answered, nor has it been addressed by anyone of the city personnel. We need to have an idea, either from the court or from the city personnel. What do we do if an animal attacks or bites someone that is running at large in the city? Silence is gold. But it's not the answer. And we need to know something. Our public needs to know. We need to tell our people something.
I think it's a fair question, and it's a good question. We introduced an amendment to the ordinance that would allow an additional 25 days. Also, in that amendment, it allowed us to have many days, and Russell and I, we talked about that when the pen was full, that we would have to transport animals to Monroe. We had more or less spoke along the line of the vicious dog, I believe, mean dog. And I think we discussed that at our last
If we have one that
humane meeting.
that is vicious, that dog right there is automatic transport. Automatic. And we'll sit down and we take the ordinance to make the amendment to 30 days, 5 days. 5 days is our regular holding, giving the owner a chance to claim that dog. And then after that 5 days, they will go and talk about the temporary facility for another 25. And after that 25 days is up, those dogs are moved. So if Mrs. Kimbrough can get them fostered, if they're not fostered, then those dogs are removed from the facility. So we're not sitting there indefinitely where the dogs are moved with the wording. They're not being held, either or they're being moved.
Yes.
Sonny's question was, again, a good question, and it was, if we don't pick up a dog because our pens are full, we, the city of Winsboro, do not pick up a dog, and he bites somebody's grandchild, maybe severely, maybe not so severely, where does the liability fall?
My understanding is that if we know that dog exists out there and we do absolutely nothing to get that dog, then we are held liable because we knew that dog was at large. So if the city knowing, we know it's out there. And so if that dog is out there and that dog is a vicious dog, then by all means possible, we put our resources to get that dog. So whatever's in that pen, if it's not in the room, it's something automatically has to go for that. But if we know it's out there, if our knowledge of that dog is out there, that puts us loud.
I could put a spin on that and say if Russell does not patrol and seek animals that are stray because the pen is full, we may not know that dog's out there, but he's not out doing what part of his job, which is to get stray animals. Who's liable? I mean, it's a great question. I think we need to know it. Just because somebody says there's a spotted dog on 1401 Main Street, then we're held liable. I think if we're not out trying to pick up any dog that's out there, we might be held liable. And if we're not picking them up because our pen is full, so we're just not bothered to do it.
Well, that's going to be a lot of dogs out there we don't figure it out. Sure. But if one is out there that's vicious, that's biting, trust me, we're going to know. Just the same way as the post office informed us about those dogs that was on those streets over there, they couldn't deliver mail. But it's a lot of dogs that's going to be out there. Just said he's not going to be able to catch everyone that's out there. That's when he's not trying to catch.
But if he's going to be, I'm just going to use this term, it's not. If we're sitting on our hands because we have no place to put a dog, so we're not out doing the things that we should do to see that dogs aren't running astray because we have no place to put them, so I'll just sit here in the office with my feet kicked up. Then I think we're held liable.
Do we have any idea how many dogs are out there that's running at large? Just roughly riding through the community, checking to see if we are taking pictures of these animals. Even if we take pictures, that lets us know that we're under surveillance, so we got them to where we're watching them. One of the reasons that this question has been asked and raised is because there could be, it may not even be a vicious dog. It may be a dog of normal character, so to speak, or has a normal disposition, but at the same time, it may be it may have rabies. And if that animal does attack, or if it does bite someone, then it really becomes, it's imperative that we catch that dog, that dog be held and put into a separate area, and then of course the doctors would have to take it from there, the veterinarian. But we must catch animals and there is one that is running rapid in our city. And I'm saying this because it is highly important that we find that animal and ascertain it, make sure that it is taken to the vet so that it can be and will be handled properly. And I'm saying that, Russell, so you'll know. I was told that there was one out there.
I hadn't heard anything about it.
I know. I just heard it today. And I had no reason to just keep it from you because that wouldn't be fair either. And it wouldn't be fair to the people. But my point is, I'm going to have to go to work. But it's one out there. And I'll get with you until you told me.
You're not patrolling now, Russell?
Yeah, I'm still patrolling. Yes, sir.
You're not working now?
Yeah, I'm still working. Yes, sir.
Are you trying to catch dogs?
If we have room, matter of fact, we're going to pick up 22 dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
In the defense of the city, and all the things that you said is true. The city is liable. Just like we're liable, if criminals are running around, and the police, don't apprehend criminals. We are when maybe we don't have the latest techniques that it takes, to capture all the dogs that are running loose. Right now, I think that we're in a transit state where we are building more holding areas, for the dogs. The council has graciously given us additional funds to build additional housing for the dogs. And at the same time, we're trying to work with the Humane Society to allow a longer holding area that would permit fewer dogs to have to be put to death. I don't by no means take that to be more important than getting vicious dogs off of our streets. I think that is very important. And I think our humane officers see that as an important issue, is to get vicious dogs off the street or get nuisance dogs off the street. We're working toward that end, and if there are techniques out there that you're aware of that we're not aware of, we will gladly listen to anything that you may have.
May I make a motion to accept humane officer among report?
Is it properly moved?
Second.
And second. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Let the record reflect that unanimously approved. West Andes Fire Training Facility.
Appreciate y'all letting me speak. I'd come to the last council meeting and just had brought up using the old water plant building for a training facility for the fire department. And y'all want to think about it a little bit and ask some questions about liability. I went and talked to Mr. Singer, who's not here today, and he gave me the number for Risk Management Insurance, who handles our insurance. I called them, told them what kind of training we do now, and he said our liability will not be any different there than it is the training we're already doing. So the property and the location will not make any difference on liability as far as training is concerned. Y'all asked a lot of questions on the PIL rating. This little form I passed out there a while ago is kind of just a basic walkthrough of what the rating is and how the system's set up. The really thick packet is a kind of a breakdown, shows how the points break down in the system as to how we are rated. Right now, we are going through a PIL rating. We've sent the packet in, but the guy hasn't been back to do our hands-on walkthrough. But this training facility will count for a lot of points in our training. If you'll notice, the way the packet's split up, you get, I don't have a packet with me, I gave them all to y'all, but I want to say it's 50% of the points come from the fire department, 40% from the water system, and then 10% is from our communications. So that's our dispatch and that type of stuff. And if you'll notice on that, the breakdown on those points, a lot of that comes from the fire department itself, comes from training. That's how our points break down. Y'all have any questions for me? I was asked a little about budget needs for this deal if we start, and for at least the first year, we can do a lot of training on the facility just like it is. There's a 2-story building there. We can do a lot of ladder and rescue training just like it is. There's a water system there, hydrants. We can do a lot of pumps training and stuff. So we'll do a lot of cleanup and some work down there. But as far as funding this year, there won't be anything. There may be some small stuff in the years to come. But right now, we can do a lot of training with the facility like it is. I did talk, and one thing I didn't mention, I did talk to PIL and had them look at the facility, and they did tell us that that would count. They would give us credit for that as a training field. Now, as you'll notice, the parts break down, and there's so many things you have to have. You get a point for this and a point for that, and there's some things that we won't have that over the years we'll have to add in to get full credit for the training field. But he said we can get credit for it now just like it is. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, Wes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Like, prior to the voting on the previous humane officer's report, there was a young lady that had been recognized to speak. She was not allowed to. We're asking if you will give her the opportunity to speak in reference to the humane issue.
I apologize. I did not see you.
I wasn't,
And thank you, Mr. Dillon, for pointing that out to me.
thank you, sir. I just wanted to know, it's probably pretty obvious, but when there is a dog loose, is there an investigation of where that dog came from and try to get that owner to be responsible? Because I have heard of folks in town who get tired of their dog and they purposely put them out on the street. Is there any way to hold them liable?
Problem to that is we do investigate to try to locate where the dog came from, but probably 99% of the dogs in Winsboro does not have tabs on them or any kind of dog chain, so we have no idea who these animals belong to. We've ran into a situation several times where we tried to identify an owner with the dog, and we were 90% sure it belongs to one individual, but we could not prove that it belongs to them. So unless we can prove it, there's not anything we could do about it. Because I hadn't seen a dog that had a tab on it, or not a tab, but a chain identifying where it came from or who's the owner. We don't see that.
So if neighbors and all report, we know that dog came from that yard. If there's no proof, there's nothing.
If they don't fill out a form affidavit, there's nothing we can do about it.
Thank you.
But if they would fill out a formal affidavit, you could enforce it?
Sure. Now, on that, you have to come and testify, and that's the problem you're going to have. Yes, ma'am.
I think we also need to maybe enforce people that's bringing dogs into the city and leaving them. And that's a lot, that's what's going on. Because it is more dogs in Winsboro now than ever before. And a couple of weeks ago, I witnessed people putting dogs out on the side of the street and then going back out of town. So now that is a problem.
I agree with you.
It really takes people to write the license plate numbers down and give it to the law enforcement. I mean, that falls on us.
It's true.
Can I address one other question that was
Yes, ma'am.
asked earlier about the vicious dogs? That's already in section 4.4, destruction. They can be destroyed on site any police officer of the town without such officer having to catch or impound such domesticated animal. It's already on the books. The vicious dogs that we were talking about.
The problem on that ordinance, ma'am, I don't know if you've been in Winsboro a whole lot. It's almost impossible for us to take a shot to destroy one. Now, when we have a vicious dog, that's what we call Russell, and he sets out traps to catch that dog. Once that dog is trapped or caught, then we can proceed with that policy. But it's almost impossible to use a deadly force on a dog inside the city of Winsboro.
Okay. We move to the Chief of Police.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
The Police Department Monday, April 22nd through May 19th, 2014. My criminal charges were light this Monday at total 13. Criminal charges varied from simple battery down to unauthorized entry of a dwelling, with one marijuana charge, drug charge. On traffic charges, we had 26 traffic tickets issued for the month. The total of that was 8 for speeding and 4 for speeding in the school zone, which in the next couple of weeks that should, hopefully that should go down because school will be out. We worked 13 accidents on the highway, 6 in the parking lots, for a total of 19. We took 470 calls. This month was probably one of the most busiest months we have outside the Catfish Festival due to the fact of graduation. To my knowledge, there were no incidents during graduation. Everything was smooth, and we're looking for a safe and prosperous summer. Thank you.
Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Economic Development Report.
Thank you, and I want to apologize for me getting offline with the dedication of the street right away. I just want to bring you up to date. In light of that, at the last council meeting, we did pass a resolution allowing the engineers, the mayor to hire the engineers to do the survey and the property description on the street dedication from Mary Martha Fair Avenue. That has been complete. The street right-of-way has a survey, and we have a property description on that. This, and I apologize, this should have been an introduction of an ordinance, not a resolution. But it's not that pressing because we're not going to do any work in right-of-way. We will bring that information to you at the next council meeting, if that's okay. I would like to tell you that our LGAP grant, we have a $50,000 LGAP grant that's outstanding, $20,000 for the fire department, $30,000 for the street signs. That grant has been approved. The mayor has sent it signed in to the Division of Administration. Mr. Mark with the Division of Administration said that he should be able to let me know tomorrow if it had been signed, and if it had been signed by the Division of Administration. At that point in time, we can make the order for the fire truck and the signage for the city. I would also like to say that we're very proud of our buck bomb. I'm excited about the buck bomb, and I think y'all know that because I talk about it every time we're up here. That company is considering the possibility, well, they are, in the process of closing their entire plant down in Maryland and moving their entire Maryland facility here to Winsboro. So that is going to be that, and what jobs that are available that they have in Maryland, that will make availability for jobs to be hired here in Winsboro. They will have an opportunity to move here if they desire to, but we're excited about that. Go ahead.
Will it stay in the same location, or will they try?
It will stay in the same location, and I'll say that this is a part and a reason with the industrial section there of the street that goes down through there. They're looking at the possibility of purchasing the warehouse facility that is adjacent to it, where the loading pad is, and that way, if anything happens to the garment plant property, that street right away will be there. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have on that. I have talked to Mr. Eskew with the Division of Administration again with the Farmers Market Program. The Farmers Market Program is moving forward. They have approved for the engineering and design phase by the engineers at the Division of Administration. So therefore, we can now have the engineers to submit the engineer fees and design to the Division of Administration for payment. And this is the first process. We have to take it one step at a time to move forward with it. And doing that, I do want to tell the City Council, and the Mayor is aware of it, that it was inappropriately or premature. The engineers submitted a payment for the design and engineering fees early before Division of Administration had approved to do that. You have to send an estimate in first and a preliminary copy of the design. They approve it, and then you can send the final in. I've asked Denman engineers if they would to make sure if we could follow all the street guidelines. Mr. Eskew was very adamant about making sure that we dotted every I and crossed every T, and we did not get anything out of order. I've asked Denman engineers since they made this move too early that they would reimburse the city the engineering fees that has already been paid. They will reimburse the city for that, and at the time we get that, now we will be able to rebuild. That way, we don't have the cart before the horse, and to make it that way. And that is something that is the Division of Administration is good with, and Denman Engineers is good with. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions on that.
The plans that we reviewed that day here, are those the plans that were submitted, or do we get the?
Those are the plans that were submitted with some basic changes, and Skipper can tell you what those basic changes are. We had the approaching of water system that goes in there, and a couple other. And
Primary footprint of the building stayed the same. Got a few particular items like where the water and sewer were coming in, and the driveway was changed there a little bit. That's basically all you're talking about changing on it. What y'all saw.
Nothing that would change the cost estimate of the building.
What about the parking situation? Whereas the one they showed us, there was 0 parking.
That's fine.
Then may I ask this, because there are ordinance out there that says if you build a building in Winsboro, you've got to have ample parking, you've got to have landscaping, there's some criteria, and parking is one of those criteria. How can we skirt that?
Well, the parking, if I'm not mistaken, Skipper, that you go through, you have handicap parking on the west side of the facility. Isn't that correct? The handicap parking is there, making it accessible to handicapped personnel or people that go to the facility. East of the building itself, there's available property that we're talking about putting gravel or some type of surface in. Am I correct about that?
The way I understand it,
And that will be parking for that area, to answer that question. Whether it be ground up the white rock or oyster shell or whatever it be. But there was just not any concrete, did not have the funds available to make concrete or asphalt parking available at this time.
I will check the ordinance on that for you and make sure it's working. I think it's pretty close to this business, basically what it's considered. And all you actually going by what's enclosed inside the structure, which is probably around 2,000 square feet. Let me know.
And to let you know, one other change is right in the back of it. We moved the fence. We were going to have offset in the fence on the back side, right, Skipper?
Correct.
And we made it to where it would go extend out and follow our property line to make sure that the fence line is not considered after so many years the property line, that we stay on our property line. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have, if I can. Thank you.
What is your pleasure?
Motion to accept economic development report.
Properly moved to accept. And second. All in favor, say aye. Community Center, monthly report.
We had 6 events in the month of April. One was civic, and another one was a repast. It was a pretty busy month for April. Basically, I think I have a copy of the report. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I said we had 6 events for the month of April. One was civic and one was a repast. That's all. And I said it was a pretty busy month for April. April was a pretty busy month. There was something going on every weekend.
Move to accept.
Second.
Properly moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I get a motion to go into executive session for
I make a motion, Mayor, that we go into executive session.
properly moved.
Point of order, we need to amend the agenda and then vote on it. Sorry. So I move we amend the agenda and add executive session.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Now,
Make a motion that we go into executive session.
Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Executive session. You can remain in here. We're going to go into the boardroom for executive session.
And I second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, you have that same right. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Yes.
The motion to,
A motion to what?
To give the attorney.
permission to make.
Okay.
To address. Okay.
What's your pleasure?
Oh, you out of that? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. Under the circumstances, I'd like to make a motion that any legal ramifications and any legal authorities that may be issued at this particular meeting in reference to legal issues to be handled by our attorneys, and at that particular time, they will give us the information that we need in order to make a decision later in reference to the council.
Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Let the record reflect that it's unanimously approved by those present here. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Mayor, we do have questions in reference to, one, the financial statement, two, the proposed budget that will be coming up, and we have issues that we'd like to have answers on in reference to that. We'll be looking at.
Say that again now.
We do have questions in reference to the proposed budget, the financial statement, of course, that was due tonight, and we have no way of making decisions as far as the city. We don't know where the city is as far as how much money we got. So we need to know where we stand, and we don't have that information before us. That is a document that is supposed to be at one of at the council meeting at this particular time.
That is correct. We don't have that information here tonight.
Is there a particular reason?
I'm sorry, I didn't bring it up before, but we have a proposed special meeting for that purpose. In the very near future, I was looking at Wednesday. To cover both of those items.
This week?
Wednesday, yes.
Well, this church night, yeah. 21.
Yeah.
Is that a good time?
Thursday.
How about Thursday?
Friday.
Friday's out. I'm not gonna be here.
Sunday morning downtown. Friday?
I'm not gonna be here.
I'm not gonna be here.
So when they have a special meeting.
First call me for information for the
Monday?
About a week from today.
Okay. In addition to that, I would like, if you would also provide us with a copy of the 3 years of the carnival and the fairs expenses and revenues that was incurred during the time that it has had its existence here in Winsboro.
I will.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Been properly moved
Second. I'll second.
and second. All in favor, say aye. We're adjourned.